Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at a new set of gym promos. We're in a weird situation here, where they now tend to come out in Chinese before we see them in Japanese. So I believe Hong Kong and Taiwan, they are being made available, but they are out there, and that means we can have a chat. I do need, however, to give a massive shout out to the lovely Airglow TCG over on Twitter, and the lovely Lorelei over on Twitter, who have been kind enough to provide our translations, because I can kind of bumble my way through some Japanese cards. I cannot do that for Chinese cards, and I'm not even gonna try. So I suppose probably the headliner here is our Galarian Mr. Rime V. It's a new Pokémon V. Now, what we've got here is 210 HP, which is about right, a retreat cost of 2, which does mean Air Balloon, and a weakness to Metal, which is fine. You know, Zacian's still a thing, but Zacian's getting a one-hit KO, whether you're weak or not. So I don't think we need to worry too much about all of that. And then we've got ourselves a couple of attacks, the first of which I think is probably the one we need to worry about. What we've got here is for 1 water energy, you search your deck for up to 3 item cards, put them into your hand, and shuffle your deck. That's kind of cool. And the thing to remember here is, it is item cards. Now, were it just Pokemon tools, that would not be quite so appealing. Because Pokemon tools are fine, but, you know, they're just tools. They're not going to get you too far throughout the game. The thing here is that you get to get any kind of item card. So things like Quick Ball to go and search out your Pokemon would work here very nicely, and there's a decent shout that in the early game, this will essentially be used to just go and grab your Pokemon. You know, in a water deck, you may very well be playing something like Frostmoth, so going and grabbing a level ball to go and search out that Frostmoth would absolutely be a decent idea. I don't know if we can really call this some kind of stunning attack. I don't know if this is all of a sudden going to become an absolute staple in every water deck, but I do feel like this is still a very useful attack. And it is absolutely one which we could see coming around again in the future. I like this one, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen. I like it. We've then got a second attack here for 2 water and 1 colourless energy. And what we've got here is 90 damage. But if this Pokemon has a tool attached, you do 90 more damage. Like I've said, the first attack can get you that tool, which is lovely, but it can get you more than the tool, which is a rather handy bonus. And I don't mind this, but it's not exactly stunning. Free energy, basically 180, except it's only 180 if you've got a tool attached, otherwise it falls a little bit short. And it's one of those where, you know, you're doing enough damage to get a Crobat V or a Kricketune V, which is lovely. They are widely played support Pokemon that give up 2 prizes when KO'd. But it's not enough to get you most Pokemon V. You're going to end up falling a little bit short of where you want to with that. So I think there's absolutely reasons to like this. And certainly, you know, if you compare it to something like Gyarados V that does 180 for 4 energy, it starts to look pretty nice. But I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't think this is special. I don't think I would want to play this over something like a Suicune V, for instance, I think is fair to say. I think Suicune V is a cool card, and I think Suicune V has a lot of reasons to play it, because if your opponent has a full bench and you have a full bench, you will get a one-hit KO on Pokemon V, and you've got that ability that will draw a card. Here, 180 if you've got a tool attached for free energy, and look, between stuff like Frostmoth and Melanie, you're not going to worry about getting the energy. The energy is going to be fine. But I also worry that it's not quite enough for the free energy investment, and as good as that first attack can be, and it really can, being able to search yourself out free item cards is clearly a brilliant, brilliant thing. I can't help but wonder if it couldn't be better. If that doesn't sound a little bit rude. Still like it, still giving it free Wassies. I do think there is absolutely some potential here. but I think it's fair to say that we've got an underwhelming second attack and a useful first attack, but you're not always going to want to use it, and it's for water energy, so some decks are going to absolutely love it, but it's not always going to work. Now, we got into a little bit of a pattern here with these reveals when they come out as gym promos. And what we tend to get is one Pokémon V, an item card, an evolution, and a few reprints. And that's basically what we've got here. And the item is Spicy Curry, and I am in love. Not because it's necessarily a particularly stunning card, although I think it's an interesting card, just because it's so brilliant thematically. So what we've got, the card is Spicy Curry, and what you do is you heal 40 damage, which is lovely, and if you healed any damage in this way, your active Pokemon is now burned. How cool is that? You heal, but then you're burned. Now, because it burns the active, you've got to heal your active. It only works to heal your active, it will not heal your bench. In terms of how good it actually is, remember that no downside, any Pokemon can be healed 30 with Potion. So, yeah. Healing 40 only from your active, and then you've got to be burned, which means you'll heal less than Potion overall unless you get out the active. It really is a card where you've got to heal and then get out the active. So if you don't get out the active, then you take the burn damage and you've actually done less than if you just used a Potion. So, healing 40, and then you've got to get out the active. I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, it's one of those that is very, very niche in terms of how it can be used. Like I say, you've got to want to heal your active, and then be willing to immediately get out the active. Clearly, that's an absolute pain in the neck. So I don't actually think it's a particularly good card, and as much as I hate to say it, I think the vast majority of the time, you are literally just better off playing Potion, because Potion can heal your bench Pokemon, and Potion doesn't need you to then switch out the active after you heal the active and all of that. But I think thematically, a Spicy Curry that heals you and then burns you, I mean, come on. Tell me that is not one of the most beautifully designed cards in terms of effect that we've seen. It's absolutely amazing. I don't think it's a particularly good card. I don't really expect it to see any play. But in terms of looking at what the card's called and how the card is themed and then the effect of the card, this is a top tier card. A Spicy Curry card that heals you and then burns you. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. For theme alone, I am absolutely in love with this card. It's not good. I don't think anyone's ever really going to play it. Maybe in a deck where you're naturally switching in and out the active a lot anyway, so you can heal the 40 without any huge downside. But I think that is really about it. And I don't really care, because I just think it's a really cool card. Now, the other notable card we are getting here is Sylveon, but Sylveon's not particularly amazing. For one Psychic Energy, you deal 30 damage, and you return an energy card from one of your opponent's Pokemon to their hand. And as much as I like this kind of energy denial attack, and I do, incidentally, I very much do, the fact of the matter is, any deck with any energy acceleration is going to kind of laugh at you for this one. And even decks that don't, you remove an energy, they attach another energy next turn, and they're back to where they were. Maybe in a multi-energy deck that doesn't use energy acceleration, this could be good. But those decks generally don't see much play and aren't that good. So you're only doing 30 damage, and you're on a stage 1, and they're just going to reattach the energy. I think it's fun, but I don't think it's good, and I don't think it's going to really be played for that. We've then got for 1 Psychic, 2 Colorless Energy, 70 damage. But if you played a supporter card this turn, you do 140. And we've seen a bunch of attacks in the past that if you played a supporter this turn, you do extra damage. But the fact of the matter is, 140 just isn't enough. 140 doesn't do very much for you. It'll get the majority of single prize Pokemon, but it won't get any Pokemon V or anything like that. You know, if you're hitting weakness against a weak Pokemon V Max like Urshifu, you won't even get a KO there. And if I'm putting free energy on a stage 1, hitting for weakness and not KOing a V Max, I'm not loving it, to be perfectly blunt with you, ladies and gentlemen. I do think Sylveon is unfortunately a little bit underwhelming. I think it's cool. Incidentally, all but guaranteed to be a free pack blister promo over here, just like the Umbreon was. And just like the Espeon is going to be, that is of course unconfirmed, but come on. That's what they tend to do. Incidentally, the Umbreon and Espeon and a bunch of others, they were all gym promos in Japan before coming blister promos over here, so I like my prediction. After that, we've got a couple of Pokemon which honestly should look slightly familiar if you're a big obsessive nerd like me, because we've got the Graveler, which is just a reprint of the Graveler that came around in Fusion Arts. Same card, different artwork. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. We've then got a Grubbin, which is just a straight reprint of the Grubbin that came around in Fusion Arts. Same exact card, no difference. It's your Grubbin. And then we've got a Toxel, and stop me if you've heard this one before, ladies and gentlemen, but you can see it is clearly a Fusion Toxel, therefore it is a straight reprint of the Fusion Strike Toxel that came around in Fusion Arts. These are straight reprints, and they're not terribly exciting cards. We don't need to spend much time on them. And then, like they've been doing for a long time now, and this seems like the last one because they've got to Sylveon, we do get one Evolution, your Sylveon, and we get an Eevee, and the Eevee here, it seems like it's the one that we've had a couple of times already. We had it as a shockingly blister promo. It's the one that attaches an energy for 1 energy or does 30 for 3 energy. It's not good, but that seems to be the one they are reprinting here. None of them are terribly interesting. I mean, if we take them all as a whole, we've got Galarian Mr. Rime V, which I do think is an interesting card, but I don't think is a stunning card. We've got Spicy Curry, which is thematically wonderful, but in terms of playability, not great. And a Sylveon, which is underwhelming. And then we've got some reprints. But I personally am going to be very excited to see how good this Galarian Mr. Rime could be, because I think in the right deck, some people are going to be able to use this. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.